Hey guys, what's going on? Just wanted to make a really quick video to show you guys something that happened to us on our last camping trip, and something that was happening over time that we could kind of see coming but didn't see coming at the same time. So stay tuned and I'll show you what we got. So on the way to our camping spot, while riding down the interstate, I noticed, and this is not the first time I've noticed, our awning didn't sit flush against the trailer. It wasn't quite this much, but let's say it sat about here, and you could move it around a little bit. So traveling down the interstate, obviously that is not what you want. So on our last trip, we noticed the same thing. We got to a gas station, pulled over, and I went inside and tightened the awning up. I went in and just closed it. Just used the switch, hit retract, and it pulled everything in tight. And we were good to go. The tricky part is, by the time we got to the campground, I noticed that the awning was sticking out again. See how tight it is here? That's what it should be like. So anyway, but I noticed that the awning was already sticking out again. I was pretty nervous with that, but I mean, I didn't know what else to do. I keep tightening it up, and it just keeps popping out a little bit, but it never bad enough where it was opening up or flapping around or anything. We were moving to a site, and it so happened that my parents were there to help out, and I was pulling into the site, and these tires here on the passenger side went off of the path. Just, you know, that was just how it was. It just kind of dropped off. When these tires dropped off, the awning opened up completely, like flung open. I didn't see it from the driver's seat, but my parents were waving their arms around trying to get me to stop, so I stopped. I jump out and they say the awning opened by itself. So yeah, that was a pretty big surprise. Obviously that's not supposed to happen, and it should never happen. This awning was very expensive. We've only had it a year. I was a little upset. This is one of my favorite accessories that we've added, but at the same time, an awning can be a pain in the butt, and there are always things going on with it. You always need to pay attention to it. You always need to put it in when the wind blows, when it rains, anything. So although awnings are pretty sweet, they can be kind of tough to deal with. What we did, we ended up backing in to the site with the awning out. I just took it easy. We got parked, and I figured I'd deal with it when I got there. Well, when I went to close the awning back, I noticed that it was just kind of jumping and skipping like this, and it wouldn't go in, and it was like the motor wouldn't catch and pull the awning in. So we messed with it. Finally, I hit the switch, and it went in. And it stayed there until I decided that it was too hot and I needed to put it out. So, of course, I went to open it up, and it opened normally till about halfway. And then it just flung open very quickly. So after it opened by itself very aggressively, I decided that I'm probably going to have to close this thing up manually, because I tried to close it with the switch. Nothing was happening. It was just jumping. It wasn't catching. Something was up with the motor. We luckily had my parents side by side with us on this trip, so we just backed up here. I stood on the back of the side by side and rolled this up by hand, which was very hard. And then once we got it up, my wife held one side, my dad held another side, and we drilled a hole and put a sheet metal screw through this outside arm and through the inside arm. And then I put duct tape across, just like you guys saw in the thumbnail. And we did it for both sides. And we just left it like that the rest of the weekend. It was a big bummer. Definitely love using my awning, so I was pretty upset about it. The day we got home from our trip, I had to get out here and work on it. So I opened it up. It just flung open really quickly. These gas struts here, they are really powerful, and they just push this whole thing out. There are no springs on this awning on the inside of the tube. It all works off of that gas strut and a motor, electric motor inside this end piece here. The other end is just an idler arm, so it has no power. I get up here to the motor. This pin is, when we put everything together, I remember putting this pin in and feeling like it wasn't tight, and it just never felt great to me, but it lasted a year, so obviously it did something. So anyway, I get up here and try to figure out how all this works. And I take the pin out, and that releases a shaft that is connected from this end cap and goes into the motor. That shaft has a flat piece, a flat side, somewhere in here where it goes into the motor. That's what grabs the motor and turns. And then it connects to this cap here. And where it goes in, the end of this cap, there's a flat side to it. And that shaft has a flat side on this end as well, with a pin on the other end to hold everything together. So I take all this apart, and I take the awning tube down. I remove this end piece, and sure enough, the flat side on the inside of this end cap here has rounded out. And that's all it was, is that over time it was rounding out, and the awning wouldn't tighten up against the trailer. So that's why it was sticking out for several trips. And I could tighten it up a little bit, but it always seemed to loosen. So it was just, this is made of aluminum, and it was just wallering out that aluminum, and it wasn't able to hold anymore. So this was completely round on the inside. I took all this off, took the cap off, and figured I need to look for a cap. I got online, looked around, didn't find anything. I found the entire assembly. You can get the motor with the cap. That's around $600. That seemed absolutely nuts to me because the motor was turning fine, everything was good. I decided that I was going to use whatever I had just to get it to hold for right now, and then I would just continue looking. So I took the cap inside my building, and the only glue I had was this Pro Taper hand grip glue. This is made for motorcycles, for our dirt bikes, and you glue your hand grips onto the handlebars. It was all I had, and I really wanted to try to get things going again so I could find a cap, and you know, it would just have to work for right now. So I lined the shaft up inside of that aluminum cap right there, and I just filled that baby full of glue. And this stuff it's nuts. It basically smells like super glue, but it's been really strong. It's worked for everything I've tried it on. So anyway, I glued it all together, let it sit for about an hour. I came out, I put it all back together. Before that, we had a mishap where when we were putting this back together, this pin popped out, the whole tube came out, hit me right above the eye, and busted my eye, well, above my eye, busted my lip in 2 places. It was chaos, it was terrible. Just me and my wife are out here working on it. So if you're gonna be working on an awning and moving it manually, have 3 people help, because it was pretty serious. Beat up the trailer pretty good as it was rolling down the side. So anyway, I got some work to do on the trailer. My eye's healing up, but it was a dangerous situation. Knocked me out in the yard. It got rough for a few minutes there. So anyway, I glued everything back together. Right now, it is working with this glue, and it's just amazing. I did buy some 2-part epoxy, and I am going to take this back apart, fill the inside up with the 2-part epoxy, and let it sit overnight. It's just been kind of windy lately, and I don't want to leave the awning out. But if I can find a cap, I will update everyone and let you know. But just be aware, if your awning starts to loosen up as you're driving or any time, you may want to take this apart and check this cap, because the inside of this thing is nothing more than aluminum. Well, the whole cap's made of aluminum, but the inside can round out. It will cause you a lot of trouble, and hopefully it won't fall out and hit you in the head. That was kind of user error. But anyway, it's just something good to know. We all spend a lot of money on these awnings, and we really expect them to hold up, and they have trouble holding up with just rain and wind. I'm not sure what caused this to happen. Obviously it happened gradually over time, but just be aware. Keep an eye on those end pieces on your awning, and stay safe, guys. Thanks for watching.